All right, so I have probably spent about 3 hours playing the game. A good portion of that was just trying to figure out like the different mechanics and stuff. I didn't want to spend too much time watching videos online. I wanted to see what I could figure out on my own, and I did figure out a great deal on my own. The reason why I shy away from watching other people's videos, oh, you need this build. Oh, that build is so broken. Oh, you need this weapon. Oh, you need to make this decision when you're talking to that character. You start watching stuff like that. That's a huge no-go for me because I have a very big problem with how the internet is a little too helpful. Two things sometimes happen when you give yourself over to like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours of research into a video game. What happens is eventually you get led around by the nose by other people who play the game a little too hard, and then it stops being your adventure. It stops being your experience. Now you're seeing everything through their lens. There's no surprises. You already know this character before you talk to him. You already know the different options. It's not an adventure anymore. It's just a game of connecting the dots. And that's, to me, that's not really like a healthy way to enjoy a game like this. So far, I've spent very little time researching things, and even, well, it's on a PS5, and some of the questions I have, most of the videos don't answer that because I'm working out like, the different what buttons do what menu screens do what on the PS5. But I figured out a good many things on my own, and I am getting into this adventure, and it's good. It's well acted, very interesting stuff. Uh, It can tend to be a little slow sometimes. A bit, like, I wouldn't call it boring. I would just call it sleepy. Uh, some of the things you discover, like when I open a book, like the the text against the paper is a little too bright sometimes. I did adjust the lighting so that way, like the brighter areas aren't so intense on my eyes. Uh, but like exploring and discovering things are it's not really all that exciting just yet. The narrator, she is fabulous. Like I love listening to her narrate what's happening. But there was a moment where I had a telescope and I was looking through the telescope to try to figure like seeing something, and I did manage to get like a perception check on it so I could zoom in a little better. And the narrators tell me I'm looking at a dragon. I didn't need her to tell me that, but it's fine. She's got a gorgeous voice. I love it. But it's like, and then it was like the telescope was like, turn the telescope to the right. The telescope has been turned to the right. And then you look through it and nothing. And then it'd be like, you're like, okay, click on the left. Be like, the telescope has now been turned to the left. And you look through it, it's still, you're not seeing anything. It's very like slow. Like so as far as the exploration so far, it's just been and I have it on explorer mode because I'm still trying to figure all this stuff out with very little help from the internet. So I feel like I'm getting better at understanding like how all this stuff works together. It's there's some moments like the way you work with your party and the way you move loot and gear from one party member to the other. I feel like Dragon Age Inquisition did it better with how you manage your inventory and you assign stuff to your party members and how you kind of work with the loot that you have. I feel like it did do it a little better. This could grow on me though. The way you manage your loot in this game could grow on me. Now, goodness knows, I love the fact that you could have a bunch of stuff and you could send it back to your camp. That's great. Kind of reminds me of Torchlight when you have like this pet and you give the pet a bunch of stuff you didn't need. You could send the pet to town and the pet would actually sell stuff for you. Yeah, Torchlight, especially Torchlight 2. That was great. Yeah. But yeah, it can be a little bit of a sleepy kind of experience. It's not really what I'd call fast paced. Yeah, it is a turn-based game and it's there. I am enjoying like how like combat is more it is a balance of what are your weapons like? What are your abilities like? I find it a little bit weird. Like my druid, when I'm like leveling her up and I see like some of her powers, and then I can't help but notice like she shares these abilities with other characters. Like, really? Like, yeah, there are different abilities in between characters, but some of them are just kind of repeated. I've, but that's not new. Again, like I've seen that in other games like this. Uh, like your rogue can cast a fireball. I don't think I've seen that yet. Like your rogue can cast a fireball. Your your druid can do it. Like anybody in your part, like if you wanted to do that, like they could all cast like fireballs. Um, okay. That's okay. But yeah, I mean, I'm really enjoying the game, but I'm gonna have to take it in small doses because I come across a lot of places like it can kind of I don't mean to sound mean, but there's parts of this game that can put you to sleep. I mean, I've got novels that I read, which reading is a major hobby for me, and I can't help but notice like this game. There's moments so far that kind of make me nod off. So as far as an explorer game, it's okay. But yeah, that moment with the telescope, it was like the telescope has turned to the right. And then like your character goes through the animation of looking through the telescope to see nothing. And then there's this drawn out animation where your character's standing there and then the option pops up to move the telescope to the left, and it's like the telescope has turned to the left, and then your character goes through the animation. That's pretty chillaxed for an adventure game. I'll give it that much. It's fantastic though. It's only 3 hours in, and I'm still learning things about the game, but yeah, I don't mean to yawn. Sorry. It's a little late. That I'm not yarning because, the game, but I am gonna have to take this in small doses until I kind of get in the rhythm of it. I do wish that they would have kind of looked at Dragon Age Inquisition a little harder in terms of how that game implemented like the different abilities and like the little mini menus and stuff for engagement. But to be fair, Dragon Age Inquisition was like real-time combat. But still, I mean, I think there could have been a lot that could have inspired the way they ported this game onto console if they had looked at that game a little harder. Been less menu-y and more ability, quick button paste, because I mean, as it currently stands, like you got these multiple wheels and you got to kind of like move through the wheels, and it really does feel good like when you hit an enemy, but like the steps that you take going through the wheel, like I'm gonna have to go through the wheels and like see like how I can manipulate the wheels to be more interesting. Uh, but yeah, I don't know. It's been a lot, like this game's a lot of fun. It really is. But yeah, you got to be patient with it. You could absorb a lot of videos on the internet, but unless you're actually playing it, like I most of that information is probably going to go over your head. So the best thing to do is just jump in it, do it. And when you have a specific question, then go on the internet and look for it, right? That's just how I do it. But anyway, yeah, Baldur's Gate 3. Looking forward to more of this. In but I right now I can't say I'm going to be binging this game out. It's 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 very, I don't want to say it's the pace is a bit crawly, but it has a lot of crawly moments to it, so where you really have to be in the mood for it. I Great game, but I recommend at least 3 cups of coffee to keep you awake sometimes. The telescope has moved to the left. Anyway, yeah, loving it. But no, it's small doses for right now. Still learning, so yeah, it's good stuff. Anyway, that's my initial impressions. I think it really does look good on the PS5. It has some texture load-in thingies, like rendering. It's very slight, and there's like this weird thing when you're in a conversation with someone. It's almost like physically they like freeze in like these weird positions when they're talking to you. Like they're pausing and then all of a sudden they continue talking. There's it's a little weird. So, I mean, there are some hiccups in the performance, but I mean, the game is so interesting. It doesn't really bother me. I mean, not really. But yeah, that's something I thought was kind of interesting, like the way some of the cut scenes sort of get like interaction scenes, I should say, get a little weird, a little pausey, a little not choppy, but like the NPC kind of freezes up in these weird positions before they'll engage with you again. It's not super stuck, but it's like they stay in that position long enough to where you realize it's not very organic, right? But anyway, yeah, it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I'm having a good time with it. But I am feeling a little sleepy after playing around with that telescope. So again, I'm not into this game deep enough yet to where I could binge it for 3 or 4 hours at a time. I am gonna need breaks because it can get a little slow. So, and I want to be attentive. I want to be paying attention, right? So I need to make sure my brain is firing on all cylinders when I'm playing this one because if not, I'll just be like, shh. The telescope has moved to the right. Shh. Anyway, that's all I got for now. You all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, and I will catch you on the flip side.